Good evening, everybody. Today, our class will be on carcinoma colon. For undergraduate students, there can be a question, mainly long question, on both left and right-sided colonic cancer. Question can come as direct one, or you can be given a clinical picture and can be asked on different aspects of the topic. So, we'll be starting with one such question. Now, what are the causes of lump in the right iliac fossa in a male patient of 40 years old? How do you investigate and manage such a patient? So I will be taking up the causes of lump in right iliac fossa. They can be classified as regional, retained, or remote. Among the regional one, they may be parietal or intra-abdominal. According to parietal one, they are pyomyositis, lipoma, desmoid tumor, and intra-abdominal appendicular lump that may be due to appendicular abscess, mucocele, or appendicular neoplasm. Now, apart from that, you can have CA secum or CA ascending colon, irosical tuberculosis, and also amoeboma, Crohn's typhlitis or Crohn's disease, amoebic typhlitis, retroperitoneal sarcoma, iliac aneurysm, chondroma and chondrosarcoma, and tubo-ovarian mass. Among the retained one, there may be undescended testes, either inflammatory or tumor in undescended testes, unascended kidney and dropped kidney. Remote causes are mucocele of gallbladder, empyema of gallbladder, and carcinoma of gallbladder. So not going to the next part, thinking the cancer right colon in mind, another question, a 45-year-old gentleman presents with intractable anemia and painless lump in right iliac fossa of 3 months duration. How would you investigate the case to confirm the diagnosis, and how would you manage the patient? So first, from the age, painless lump with intractable anemia for 3 months, we can come to the diagnosis that it is the patient is most possibly suffering from carcinoma right colon. So investigations in a case of right colonic carcinoma are, first is fecal occult blood test can be done. It is simple, non-invasive, detects peroxidase in hemoglobin, not specific for location of bleeding in the GIT though. Types are Guyak based local blood, immunochemical based. Best is combined with flexible sigmoidoscopy. Colonoscopy is the investigation of choice for the diagnosis and establishment of diagnosis. Bowel preparation and sedation is required. It can pick up the primary cancer and can also detect synchronous polyps and multiple carcinomas. It can also detect small polyps of less than 1 centimeter. Now, double contrast barium enema. It is a contrast irregular filling defect. Though false positive rate is 1 to 2%, with false negative 79%, it can detect polyps more than 1 centimeter. Though it is more accurate in proximal colonic lesions, disadvantage is misinterpret polyp for diverticular disease. Nowadays, we can come with CT colonography that is done with virtual colonoscopy, non-invasive technique that visualizes the entire colon. It can categorize the lesion, C0 study inadequate, C1 study normal, C2 indeterminate, polyp 6 to 9 millimeter or less than 3 in number, C3 that is more than 10 millimeter in size or more than 3 in size of 6 to 9 millimeter, C4 colonic mass with luminal narrowing or extra colonic extension. In CT colonography or virtual colonoscopy, there's a problem that you cannot take biopsy at a time. Now, if you are having suspicion regarding metastasis and spread, you should go for ultrasonography. It can see the liver mets, peritoneal lymph nodes, and retrovesical secondaries. CT scan is also useful. You can add CT angiography with CT scan, which assess the local spread, invasion, extent, stage, lymph node involvement, liver mets, and lung mets. FNAC for supraclavicular lymph nodes. Now, we have to also keep in mind the surveillance. CT surveillance of chest, abdomen, pelvis, frequent clinical evaluation, CEA testing and follow-up colonoscopy for surveillance pattern. Now, CEA level may be is used for the prognostic purpose before and after the operation. CA level can be raised in malignant, that is colorectal carcinoma, pancreatic carcinoma, gastric carcinoma, lung carcinoma, and breast carcinoma. In benign diseases, it can be raised in pancreatitis, hepatitis, obstructive jaundice, and BPH. If it is less than 7.5 nanogram per DL, more than 7.5 nanogram per DL, it is poor prognosis. Postoperative fall not adequate, metastasis or incomplete resection is to be thought. During follow-up, increased CA is recurrence or secondaries. Rapid increase in CA level points out metastasis. Follow-up, post-op CA level should be checked 3 monthly for first 2 years, and even if pre-op level was normal. Now, coming to the preoperative workup for the patient. For elective surgery, preoperative workup is to be done depending upon the patient's comorbidities. The additional workup in preoperative period to be done are nutritional status evaluation, preoperative bowel preparation, thromboembolic prophylaxis, catheterization, and optional nasogastric tube. Now, preoperative bowel preparation, purging the fecal matter, administration of antibiotics. Previously, it was thought to reduce chances of postoperative infection and anastomosis leak. But as the coronocytes get the nutrition from free fatty acids produced by fermentation of lipids by commensal bacteria, nowadays the purging to done in practice, the advantages are debatable. And to prevent surgical site infection, the role of antibiotics has been proven through randomized trials. It is given as prophylactic dose 30 minutes before surgery, and if surgery is prolonged, it should be given in 4-hourly doses. Postoperative antibiotics are not advisable as they increase chances of Clostridium difficile colitis, Candida infection, and bacterial resistance. Antibiotics used are single antibiotic IV atrapenem or piperacillin tazobactam, combination of second, third generation cephalosporin with metronidazole, combination of fluoroquinolones plus metronidazole plus clindamycin, or triple combination of amoxicillin clavulanic acid plus metronidazole plus aminoglycosides. Thromboembolic prophylaxis is given by subcutaneous or IV low molecular weight heparin and or with intermittent pneumatic cuff stockings to prevent chances of deep vein thrombosis, pulmonary embolism. LMW is given from 2 hours before surgery until patients achieve full ambulation post-operatively. Now, surgical management. General technical aspects are the length of bowel and mesentery resected is dictated by tumor location and distribution of the primary artery, but radical resection of a colonic tumor should achieve at least a 5 centimeter clearance at the proximal and distal margin also. If distal 5 centimeter cannot be achieved, it should be minimum 2 centimeter. Now, as the tumor is on the right side, so according to the location, if it is in the cecum, you should go for right hemicolectomy, that is terminal ileum to mid transverse colon, and right flexure should be included. Major vessels ligated are ileocolic artery, right colic artery, and right branch of middle colic artery. If it is in the ascending colon, you should go for right hemicolectomy. Here, terminal ileum to mid transverse colon and right flexure added, and arteries ligated are same as above. If hepatic flexure is involved, you should go for extended right hemicolectomy, that is terminal ileum to descending colon, that is both right and legs flexure is included. Terminal ileum and arteries ligated ileocolic artery, right colic artery, and mid colic artery. Then transverse colon. Extended hemicolectomy is done. Terminal ileum to descending colon, distal to left flexure, transverse colon including both flexures. Ileocolic artery, right colic artery, middle colic artery is ligated here. Now, again, these are the things when right hemicolectomy should be done and one extended right hemicolectomy will be done. And in both the cases, anastomosis can be done end to side or end to end. Now, after the operation is done, we have to assess the patient for adjuvant chemotherapy. Indications are all patients with stage 3 disease, that is node positive disease. The overall disease-free survival at 5 years for patients of stage 3 disease with surgery has been found to be equal to 50%. However, it has been found that disease-free survival with chemotherapy increases up to 70 to 78% at 40 years. Therefore, adjuvant chemotherapy has been strongly recommended for patients of stage 3 disease. For stage 2 colon carcinoma, it should be done with one or more of the risk factors that have a poorer prognosis and a prognosis closer to patients with stage 3 disease. Therefore, adjuvant chemotherapy is recommended in stage 2 patients with any one of the following adverse prognostic factors. That is poorly differentiated etiology, inadequate lymph node sampling, bile perforation or obstructing cancer, and perivascular invasion. Current regimens involve the combination of 5-fluorouracil leucovorin with either irinotecan or oxaliplatin. The role of targeted therapy using vascular endothelial growth factor inhibitors or epidermal growth factor receptor inhibitors like cetuximab is evolving. Patients with stage 2B tumors with poor prognostic factors may also benefit from adjuvant chemotherapy, although the risk to benefit ratio is not as great as earlier. Now, coming to the follow-up. Follow-up is crucial in the first 2 years after surgery when 90% of recurrences occur. Surveillance colonoscopy is recommended the first year after resection and then every 3 years until negative, at which time every 5 years is recommended. CA should be checked in the first year, and rising levels should prompt a CT scan, a chest X-ray, and a PET scan to detect and stage recurrence. Next, coming to a question of left colonic carcinoma. How would you proceed to investigate and manage a 50-year-old man presented with a lump in left iliac region and irregular bowel habit? The most possible provisional diagnosis is carcinoma left colon. Diagnostic evaluation. The aim of investigative workup of a patient with colon cancer is to assess the large bowel with regard to the primary lesion, concomitant lesions, and other potential underlying colonic disease, to exclude the metastatic disease at the time of initial presentation, and perform the routine preoperative assessment for surgery. Double contrast barium enema and colonoscopy are the modalities of choice to establish the diagnosis. Barium enema gives good anatomic and topographic information to diagnose a polyp or carcinoma. It demonstrates the size and configuration of the lesion and the presence or absence of diverticulosis. The technique of double contrast barium enema is limited by its lack of sensitivity for small polyps less than 1 centimeter diameter and for areas within the rectosigmoid, hepatic, and spleen fractures where large bowel loops may overlap, making a single lumen difficult to identify. So it is non-therapeutic, provides no tissue diagnosis, and may miss flat mucosal lesions that might represent a synchronous lesion. Colonoscopy. It is an investigation of choice because it enables the visualization of the entire colon, allows for biopsy or removal of any suspicious lesions, and is considered the gold standard for evaluating the colonic pathology. It enables a more detailed study of the mucosa, visualizing the lesions of less than 0.5 centimeter. The principal advantage over radiology is that lesions can be biopsied or removed by snare cautery if they prove to be adenomatous polyps or a small polypoid carcinoma. Ultrasonography or computed tomography are done for the purpose of detecting any metastasis and also to assess the operability of the lesion. The liver is the most common site of metastasis, followed by lung, retroperitoneum, peritoneal cavity, and rarely adrenal glands. Now, CT scan. The rationale for obtaining a preoperative CT scan is to assess the local effects of the tumor and to look for metastatic disease elsewhere in the peritoneal cavity, such as liver metastasis deep in the parenchyma that might not be otherwise noted at laparotomy. It can also serve as a baseline for follow-up imaging studies. It provides better discrimination for smaller hepatic lesions and can distinguish angiomas from metastasis as small as 1 centimeter in diameter after contrast enhancement. CT also provides more information about lymphadenopathy, detects small volume of ascites, ovarian enlargement, and hydronephrosis from retroperitoneal spread. A baseline CT of the abdomen should allow in all patients with colon cancer. Next comes CT coronography or virtual colonoscopy, as we have already discussed in the first case. It is an emerging as radiographic technique that involves reconstruction of three-dimensional images of the colon from the two-dimensional data obtained by a spiral CT scanner, though it lacks the advantage of taking biopsy. Chest X-ray in two planes is commonly sufficient in order to rule out any extrahepatic lung metastasis. CT scan of the chest or HRCT thorax may be needed to characterize any suspicious lesion on chest X-ray. PET scan. PET scan is an imaging modality that is based on the detection of 2-fluoro-2-deoxyglucose in the tumor cells. PET scan is particularly useful to detect the recurrence following surgery. CEA or carcinomembranous enzyme antigen, an elevated preoperative CEA level is prognostic factor for cancer recurrence. Patients in whom the elevated CEA fails to normalize after a potentially curative operation are at particularly high risk of recurrence. General workup for patients are complete hemogram, LFT, renal function test, electrolytes, and ECG. Treatment. Surgery forms the mainstay of the treatment for the patients of colorectal cancer. So aims of surgery include tumor resection with negative margins, both proximally and distally, adequate lymph node dissection, which is achieved by proximal or in-flush ligation of blood vessels at their origin. According to the recommendation of CAP, minimum of 12 to 14 lymph nodes should be isolated from surgical specimen for proper end staging. Restoration of intestinal continuity by anastomosis. Patients taken for surgery, patients with definitive cancer of cure stage 1 to 3, patients of advanced disease, that is incurable distant metastases with symptomatic primary, example obstruction, bleeding, perforation. Now, as we have discussed, preoperative bowel preparation is needed. Mechanical bowel preparation and antibiotic prophylaxis has been used as an integral part of the preoperative management of colorectal surgery. The procedure of preparing the bowel before surgery involves two factors, that is purging the fecal contents and administration of antibiotics effective against colonic bacteria. The most commonly used regimens include polyethylene glycol solutions or sodium phosphate. Sodium phosphate solutions are generally better tolerated. Effective elective colorectal cases are classified as administration of parenteral antibiotics 30 minutes before incision is suffice. There is evidence to show that when operative time are prolonged, additional doses at 4-hour interval reduce wound infection. Antibiotic active against both aerobes and anaerobes ideal. Second or third generation cephalosporins alone or combination of epidioquinol plus metronidazole or clindamycin is typical. Given. Principle of surgery. While performing the colonic resection for malignancy, the proximal and distal margin of 5 cm was advocated earlier. However, in the present era, it has been found that distal margin of 2 cm is sufficient in cases of well and moderately differentiated tumors. Distal margin of 5 cm is still advocated in cases of poorly differentiated tumors. Against standard resection of the colon, if we go for descending colon resection tumor, then resection is left hemicolectomy, left flexure to sigmoid colon, inferior mesenteric artery, left branch of mesenteric artery is ligated. If it is sigmoid colon, rectosigmoid resection, descending colon to rectum is dissected, superior hemoidal artery, inferior mesenteric artery are ligated. Again, AI-driven chemotherapy, as discussed earlier, in all patients of stage 3 disease, stage 2 carcinoma with the following features like poorly differentiated histology, inadequate lymph node sampling, bowel perforation obstructing cancer, and perivascular infection. Current regimen involves the combination of 5-fluorouracil with either irinotecan or oxaliplatin. Patient with stage 2B tumor can be given chemotherapy. Follow-up, it is crucial in the first 2 years. Surveillance colonoscopy is recommended the first year after resection and then every 3 years until negative, at which time every 5 years is recommended. CA should be checked in the first year and rising levels should prompt a CT scan, a chest X-ray, and a PET scan to detect and stage recurrence. So this is all about colonic cancer and the questions. So now you can have the question answers of 2021 MBBS final year part 2 surgery, both regular and supply, that is altogether 4 papers, first paper 2 and second paper 2, within 1 or 2 weeks in my website. Answers will be solved in a very brief pattern, and you can have access by logging in, and all the details will be given in my website, that is orthosurge.com. So our next class will be on thyroid malignancy.